Where from you are coming? Germany. Want to ask anything?
There is a relationship.
Relationship is there, but by the word self-realization, what do we mean actually?
Some people call
But
I guess I was using the term self-realization because it talks about as realize who you are
the real nature of ourselves.
While who you think you are drops away or something. Normally they are aimed at purifying. I was not sure anymore. Because like many people would say, well, you just purify and at some point learning more about that. About the real relationship.
So, purification of what? Because purification means we have to remove the vasanas.
Yes.
The remove the vasanas is known as purification. But actually, if you do not have any vasanas, if you do not have any conditioning, you cannot live in this world. So, the vasanas conditioning is necessary for our life. And Ramana Maharishi told one story with regarding to some other concept. There was a king in a fort. He has a fort and he is living in the fort. And the fort is very powerful and nobody can enter into the fort. And at the time, some enemy king seized the fort and he seized the fort with a huge army. But actually they cannot break open the fort because the fort is very powerful and nobody can break down the fort. So the enemy army cannot enter into the fort. So if anybody wants to enter into the fort, there is only one doorway. And in the doorway, if anybody enters into the doorway, only one single person alone can enter. So whenever anybody enters into the fort, the very moment of their entry, they can be beheaded. They can cut their head. So if anybody enters into the door, through the doorway, we need not cut him and need not kill him. And instead of that, we can, because he is a single person, but we have sufficient army within the fort itself. Even though it is not powerful enough to conquer the entire inimical army, but we can manage the single person. We are sufficiently powerful. And instead of killing the single person, we can drop him and make him as our servant to do our duties into the fort. So in this way, all vasanas, even though the vasanas may be heavy, our condition may be heavy, you can enter at any time, it will only a single way. Because it is unconscious, all the vasanas in the unconscious level. But when it enters into the conscious level, single vasanas alone can enter. So when a single vasana can enter into the conscious level, we need not close the vasanas. We can make use of the vasana. We need not worry about the vasanas. So here, actually, whatever enters into the conscious level, it disappears naturally. We need not even kill. But in the case of enemy, we have to use our weapon to kill him. But in the case of psychological world, if anything enters into the conscious level, the very moment of its entrance, it disappears. That is the nature of each and every vasanas. So there is no necessity to shape anything. So if it is a permanent one in the conscious level, then we have to do something. But we need not do anything. So if anything we can have in the conscious level, we can take it as an inducement to do the necessary things, and otherwise it is not necessary. But at the same time, we need not do anything in the unconscious level to set right all our vasanas. Let it be there. For example, the entire world may be in the dark without any light. The entire world may be dark. But wherever we go, we have the light, that is enough. We need not clear the entire darkness of the world. It is not necessary. So, the purification in no way it is not necessary. But in course of time, the lifestyle, if you make the lifestyle that we are not struggling with our own conscious expression, so we can have the different lifestyle. So in the different lifestyle, we can make use of all our conditioning. We can make use of all our vasanas. So there is no purification is necessary. But at the same time, purification also may happen. But we need not worry about the purification. Whether it happens or not, we need not worry about that.
I think I can understand what, when I was doing my practices over the years, also I stopped trying to kill something or to fight something because I realized it doesn't work. So what I was doing is just watching the vasanas as they arise and being fine with them, not trying to, because I noticed the only problem is that you resist, you don't want it. So I try to be, not to control anything, just but I feel when I do this, also like the spiritual practice, this is actually purification, just being fine with stuff, whatever comes up. That when you sit for meditation, or you can do it all the time actually. That's my kind of purification. Maybe it's not the right word then, but because it's not really an action, it's just like trying to let the stuff happen, not interfere. Maybe I say like that, not interfering. But it happens that there's not much interfering. There is purification, because then the vasanas are not strong if you don't fight them. And you have the feeling they go away if you manage not to interfere. Then I think
purification means the losing the strength. If the vasanas lose the strength, it is the purification. That does not mean all vasanas must go away from us.
Yes.
That is not the meaning. If you give, but at the same time, if you struggle with the vasanas, it acquires more strength. If you give total freedom to the vasanas, it loses strength. So that is a real purification.
So even the idea that they drop is not important, because if they have no strength, they can just be there. Right? But if you don't have a problem with being, then it's not strong.
Not strong.
There's not. That concept makes any sense.
Self-realization, actually, self, we are meaning the self means the pure consciousness is the self. Actually, the pure consciousness is really the real state of pure consciousness is in the unconscious state. We think we giving the name consciousness means it looks evident. We can feel something, but actually we cannot feel the real consciousness. We cannot taste, or we cannot visualize, we cannot feel or taste the real consciousness. It is in the unconscious level. For example, we have the body. The total body is sensitive. That wherever we touch, we feel the body. The total body is sensitive. For example, one day we have a fever. Some total body is feverish, and the total body is feverish and painful. And we feel the total body of our body. But but we take medicine or something, and the fever has gone. And after the fever has gone, can we feel the body? Even though the body is sensitive, we cannot feel the body. But we think we may feel the body. I can feel the body, I can feel my full body. But we can say like that. But actually we have 10 fingers in our hand and 10 fingers in our legs. Can we feel our fingers one by one? If you want to feel your finger, we have to concentrate and vibrate, then only we can feel the finger. Otherwise we cannot feel any part of our body. If you touch here, we can feel the touch feeling alone. But otherwise we cannot feel. So we can feel only the expression of our consciousness. The real consciousness cannot be felt. So that is our real nature. The real self is our real consciousness. The real consciousness is a real self. The real self alone has the expression through our body, it expresses itself through our mind. The same consciousness, there is no division in our consciousness. Same consciousness is very pure and there is no problem, there is no sensation, there is no expression. It is there, but it expressed through our body, expressed through our mind. Whenever it has some expression through our body, it has some expression through our mind, then only we feel we have something, we feel something. So whatever we feel is only the expression of our consciousness. It is not the consciousness. The real consciousness is unconscious and we cannot feel it. We cannot feel the total body of ourselves. If we feel any part of our body, we have only the expression of the body, expression of the consciousness. So in this way, whenever we have some problem in our mind, some sensation like fear, anger, sorrow, anything, it is the expression of the consciousness. And the all expression, the life duration of each expression is only a fraction of a second. When within the fraction of a second, it goes away. For example, if you take the total whole of our consciousness as a water, a great sheet of water, and in the water we write something, the very moment of writing, the writing will be dissolved. So in this way, the total consciousness is just like a water. And in the water, our conscious feelings or the emotions, feelings or the expression of the consciousness. All the expressions are the writings upon the water. And it dissolves naturally. And we need not do anything. But whenever we try to erase the letters of the water, then we create more letters, more markings. And all markings will go away naturally. And we need not do anything. We need not wipe out any markings. So in this way, all our emotions, all our feelings will disappear naturally. So here, we need not worry about the realization that we feel the real consciousness. Because the realization happens that we are not what we are having, the emotions, all emotions are the product of our real consciousness, but the expression of consciousness is not the consciousness. So that alone is enough. If you understand, all expression is not the consciousness, it's not the real consciousness, but it is only the expression of the real consciousness. And if we think that all is the expression of the real consciousness, then we need not worry about the expression. So expression is the temporary one. It comes and goes naturally. And the real consciousness we cannot feel. So whatever we take any effort to feel the reality of our consciousness, we cannot feel. So there is no necessity, because the original state of ourself is the real consciousness. And the real consciousness will not try to realize itself. So what is trying to realize is the emotions, the expression of the consciousness alone. All our knowledge, all our intellect, everything is trying to realize something. So the entity which is trying to realize, the entity which is trying to find something is not the real thing. It is only but at the same time, it is also the expression of the reality. And all the expression, whatever it may be, it must come and it may come and go. And we should not retain anything. But at the same time, we may, through some meditation, we may have some good feeling, good emotion, good feeling, good vibration, or some bliss consciousness. So in this way, we may create some kind of energy field. But all those are energy field is only the expression of the real consciousness. But the real consciousness in itself is not an expression. It is the base of all the expression. And the expression, it may be a higher one, it may be some bliss consciousness, but at the same time, whatever may be the expression may be great, however may be great, it has to come and go. That is the good thing. But if you try to retain some good consciousness, if we retain some bliss consciousness, that creates more problem. So, but reaching the good consciousness is good, but it must come and go. That one only it will be alright. But we should not take the bliss consciousness is the reality, bliss consciousness is the real consciousness. Actually, real consciousness has no expression. It is the base of all expression. And if you want to realize, the realization that I am not the realization, if we think the real consciousness is beyond our observation, beyond our feeling. But what we feel is only the expression. So if we understand like this, that alone can be considered as self-realization. But at the same time, the feeling and realization and but many things that we can feel the base structure of the consciousness, but nobody can feel. So whatever we feel, it is only the expression of the real consciousness. But the real consciousness in itself, it is silent and it is without any expression. But even silence is also a word, but actually really it is not at all a silence. It is more than silence. But it is the base, and we need not do anything with regarding to the real consciousness. Whatever we do, whatever we can have, is only the expression of the consciousness. And in the expression, and we should not catch hold of anything. So if we catch hold of something, we are staying in somewhere else. We are staying in something. But we should not stay at anything. So the natural thing must be, whatever may come, it must go. So we should not stay with us in any place. So we have to vacate all the places. We should not have any retention. So whatever come must go. That is a natural thing. So this is known as the liberation. The liberation is the highest state. And the liberation is allowing everything to come and go, the natural flowing of our feelings, the natural flow of our emotions, the natural flow of the conscious expression. That alone is the greatest thing. That is the liberated thing. So the liberation means whatever comes, that must go. So that means coming and going is the flowing. The flowing is the liberation. Liberation means there is no retention. There is no block. When we liberate everything, it flows. If we block something, the liberation is disturbed. So only because of catching hold of something, the liberation is disturbed. When we block something, the liberation is disturbed. So the liberation, we need not try to get liberation, because our natural state is in the liberated state. All our expression comes and goes in the natural way, and we need not do anything for our liberation. So if you think we need not attain anything, if we need not retain anything, the very understanding that we need not retaining and attaining anything, the very understanding will give way to the liberation, and thereby we are not disturbing the liberation.
The blocks, liberation state, blocks.
Blocks means selecting something.
Yeah, selecting and have attachment to something. But a lot of practices, they help to melt these blocks. Or because you say practice don't need for beginners. But when we make practices, we melt these blocks, and then maybe we are able to understand that we are not ready. If blocks very strong, we really cannot go. Because so maybe for some people it needs to make practice at first. For melt blocks, because if you say you don't need to be attachment, but he even understands that he cannot, because blocks too strong. That in that case, need to recommend you should make practice, some practice. or still continue to explain from intellectual level?
But here, some blocks are necessary. For example, our character is, because we have some, each and everybody we say we have some character. Some character is also necessary, because we need not try to change our character. So each and our character is also a kind of block, because it is also somewhat permanent. Somebody may have some character, the other may have some character. So if you do anything according to your character, it is very easy for you, for your work. So if it is not disturbing, if the character is not disturbing, all characters are also a kind of block. And if the block is necessary for our natural functioning, then we need not melt the block. So you can make use of the block also. We need not struggle with that. But if sometimes some block may create some problem. So if it is a problematic one, we can deal with in your own way. But at the same time, if you understand that we need not struggle within ourselves, that is the total understanding. This total understanding that we need not struggle within ourselves, and it naturally it will dissolve the unnecessary blocks. So it will not disturb the necessary block. So it will dissolve only the unnecessary block. But in course of it may take time. But at the same time, we need not worry about the formation and dissolution of the blocks. But with understanding itself will operate.